When I mentioned about sejarah, or specifically SPM sejarah, what are your thoughts? So generally for students, it's negative. People don't really like it. So therefore, I was thinking there must be a better way for us to learn history. So before I begin, let me first introduce myself. My name is Jinzi, and I'm supervised by Dr. Azrina and also Dr. Zul from QT. So as we all know that history is actually really important for us. Globally, it can help us to understand our past and build a better future. In the national level, it can actually help us to foster our national unity. And it's especially important for students in school. Why? Because in 2013, Ministry of Education actually made sejarah a compulsory subject for them to pass. So, what's actually happening right now and what are the problems? So first, in a survey that I've conducted in August 2018, we found that most of the students felt that history is actually boring, it's hard to memorize, and reading the textbooks is actually making them really sleepy. So, and in another study in 2014, supported by a group of researchers in UITM, they conducted this study in two groups. They mentioned that in these two groups, 75% and 64% of them actually dislike learning history in school as well. And among them, 45% are not interested and 22% felt that it's actually very hard for them to understand. So, on top of that, there's actually no existing application right now that can actually help students to learn history for SPM and for students as well. And even though the applications out there right now, the mobile application out there that claims to be mobile learning, and another paper in 2016 mentioned that all of this application right now has an obvious absence of features such as interactivity that can actually spark the students' interest. And so I come up with this application, which is Sejarah. It is an AR application to help students to learn history. So with all of the problems that I've mentioned earlier, mapped out over here, which students mentioned that they are not interested, so we try to increase their engagement. When they mention that they cannot remember, we try to integrate with some videos and to enhance their learning experience. And when it's hard to understand, we make it dynamic. We try to gamify and make it interesting for them to learn. So, the objective of this development is to actually develop the application and to evaluate the application with the students. And primarily, this application focuses on the Form 4 students and also the teachers in school. And basically, the scope is to let them explore, learn in AR, some interaction, assessment, and also some quizzes. So next you might ask, why AR? Why do you want to choose AR for learning instead? So AR can actually allow us to explore the world. It can actually bring something into the classroom to let students relive the history, you might say, or maybe like this whale over here. And it can also, AR actually provide this type of interactive element that helps students to learn and also to increase their engagement. As educators and teachers yourself, I think most of you understand that engagement is very important for students. Without engagement, students don't really want to learn and not interested with it at all. So these are some of the applications out there, some AR applications out there that are actually helping students to learn, and an educational AR application mostly focusing on science and language and biology. So these are some of the AR functionalities, some application comparison, which my application is trying to solve it through by making markerless AR, some interaction, marker-based AR, and also gamify the content. So how did I approach this development? So this approach is through a mobile application by using Unity and with the game engine. So, and all of the content in my application is actually content from textbook and source it from the teachers and past this question as well. So it's mostly, all of the content is from the Ministry of Education. So these are higher level overview of my architecture of the application. And I've I've approached this development by Agile. As you can see, mainly I've gone through 3 loops, which the first loop is mainly to produce a storyboard. Second loop, at the end of the day, I produce a prototype, and the final loop, at the end of the day, I'll develop, and evaluate the application. So here are some of the, I don't want to go into the details, but here are some of the images throughout my testing with the students and my prototype, and also my interview with the students as well. So after all of my testing and development, what did I find? So my evaluation is that, what did I find? So my main purpose is to conduct a usability testing. And after that, I come up with 2 different hypotheses. So the first hypothesis is I want to test out, I want to compare between learning with AR and learning without AR. And the second type of hypothesis is I want to compare between learning with markerless AR and marker-based AR. So what is it? So with learning with AR and without AR, I'm comparing between 2 different applications, which is this memory booster from Oxford Fajar, and also this Sejarah, which is my application. So, and I'm comparing between markerless AR and marker-based AR as well. So markerless AR is basically an AR where you don't need a target image, and also a marker-based AR where you actually need a target image to trigger the AR. So the analysis and the results came out, not surprising, is that most of the students actually prefer the one with AR compared to the one without AR. With 25 of my students, I actually got 23 of them actually prefer mine over the Oxford Fajar Memory Booster application itself. So I've also conducted SUS, a SUS usability test, and averagely I got a 74.2 score, 74.2, which signifies above average application, where 68 is the average mark. So my application sits right around here. And finally, where I compare between markerless and marker-based AR, I have quite a split decision, where 15 of them actually prefers markerless and 10 of them prefers the marker-based. And overall, when I asked, is it fun, is it enjoyable to use, and will you actually recommend it to anyone else? And actually, most of them is rated quite high as well. So as a conclusion, Sejarah actually achieved an average of 74.2 for the SUS analysis, and also for my first hypothesis, I can actually accept where learning history with AR is actually better than learning without. And for my second hypothesis, I cannot conclude that one type of AR is actually better than the other type of AR, because different students actually have different preference on how they want to learn. So next, I'll just show you the main features of my application. I recorded a video pre-hand because you need quite a large space. So this is the main interface of the application, and we'll go through to the Explore first, because it's in Sejarah, so it's mainly in BM. So with the markerless AR, so this is they will actually need to find a plane surface, and after the circle actually appear, then they will deploy the AR, and the whole thing will actually be deployed. And they can, if it's too big or too small, they can actually play around with the scale and make it comfortable. Then they can explore around. So while they explore around, if they stumble upon an artifact, so we will have some information pop out and also some narration so that they can learn while exploring and finding certain artifacts. So if you want, they can look around and explore around. So the next type of AR, which is the marker-based AR, basically the content-wise, right now is the same. So it's just that same content but in a different context. So sometimes if they don't want to walk around when they want to look at image, then they scan. So the information is actually the same, and right now what I'm doing is actually I'm complementing the textbook with the application. So right now where you scan the images from the textbook, you can actually trigger all of this AR content to enhance the experience of the textbook. And the lastly is the gamification of content, where I created some quiz for them to, it's like a level quiz. So there's 3 levels where it's separated by the teachers. So when they completed the first level, only they can be allowed to move on to the following level. So this is some the gamification of the content. And sorry. So another one is just like for them, it's just for them to mix and match and drag and drop. So this is another part of my gamification of content as well. Right. So that's it from me. So before I end, I would like to thank you so much to Hilti and also Dr. Zul as well for sponsoring this project, and also for SMK Sri Sedang to allow me to actually conduct with their students and give me full access for all of their students and teachers and resources, and also the Ministry of Education to actually approve this project so that I have quite a smooth sailing process throughout the development as well. So here are some of my references used during this presentation, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Chiu.